Super City Mayor Phil Goff is refusing to express confidence in the CEO or leadership of Auckland ports, following major delays clearing cargo and a spate of serious accidents, including deaths. The port says COVID and interruptions to supply chains worldwide have contributed to its problems, but it concedes staff shortages and problems with its automated unloading system are also to blame. And last week it was fined more than $500,000 for its role in the death of a young dad who was crushed when the straddle carrier he was driving toppled over. Auckland Mayor Phil Goff has declined to publicly back Port CEO Tony Gibson and says the company needs to take responsibility for the things it can control.
I think there are two things specific to the Ports of Auckland. One is that they have a shortage of stevedores at the moment, which means that they're not able to operate all of their cranes 24/7 as we would want them to, and they need to explain why this situation has arisen. They will undoubtedly say that they didn't anticipate the surge in demand, and I'll be cross-examining them further on that. The second is the process of automation, which has been interrupted partway through implementation, and that clearly is slowing down the operation on the ports. I asked of the ports in committee of the council the other day what was the processing of containers compared to this time last year, because notwithstanding the extra pressure of demand, you would have expected that they'd be doing the same as they were doing last year. They're not. They are processing fewer containers, and they put that largely down to the fact that they are partway between a manual system and an automated system.
So the explanations to you thus far have been unsatisfactory?
Well, look, what I've told them is whatever their explanations, I want to see the situation improved as quickly as possible and within their capability to do it. I'm not holding them responsible for international factors. I'm not holding them responsible for the fact that we've had a huge drop in the air freight capacity for goods being imported, but they need to be responsible for the things that they do have control over.
Do you still have confidence in the leadership at the port?
I think that's a question that will be best answered when the automation process is up and running and demonstrates whether the time and money invested in it is paying off in terms of the efficiency and the reliability of the operation. And, of course, I've got to say from the viewpoint of Auckland ratepayers, whether they then return the former dividend payments to the shareholders, which are the people of Auckland through Auckland Council.
So to be clear, you can't express confidence right now. You have to wait and see.
I'm waiting and seeing.
That's not a ringing endorsement, is it, Mr Mayor?
No, but I'm happy to be proved wrong about any doubts that I have about the automation process by them demonstrating that it delivers what they've promised.
What are your doubts and how serious are they?
Well, look, the process has been delayed, and that is in part due to COVID and some of the quarantine restrictions and how they had to work during lockdown contributed to that. So, look, I'm taking all of those factors into account, but the proof of the pudding is always in the eating, and I want to see what is the result of that automation process and that it delivers what we have been told to expect that it will deliver. When
will you know if you have confidence in the port or not?
I think when the automation process is fully up and running.
But when do you expect that to be?
I expect that to be in the first half of next year.
So in the first half of next year, you will be able to come back on this program and tell us whether you have any confidence in the leadership at the port.
Well, after they've fully implemented the automation process, I'll tell you what it's delivering and whether it's delivering what we've been promised it will deliver. Tell
me, is the port on the top of its game here?
Well, it wasn't in terms of health and safety, as you've seen from my comments and my questioning of the ports earlier in the week. I believe that you have had systemic, I should say, failure in terms of monitoring and enforcing safety rules on it. Now, those those accidents and the most recent fatality was another factor that slowed the port down and stopped work on the port for a period of time. And I've said in no uncertain terms that that's got to change. I've set up an independent inquiry into health and safety on the port, and that will be paid for by the port, but it will be done independently of them. And I've just appointed to the board of the Ports of Auckland a woman called Hazel Armstrong, who you're probably familiar with. She's probably the foremost lawyer dealing with health and safety issues in the country, and she will be casting a very steely eye on everything that the port is doing in terms of health and safety. So there are levers that I can pull to improve the performance of ports. There are things that I'm not able to do because the Ports Companies Act says that the council must not interfere in the commercial activities, the operational activities of the port. But within the powers that I've got, I'm taking action to try to get improvement in that performance.
OK, so who has the power to pull the lever that ejects Tony Gibson, and when should they do it? The decision about the employment of the chief executive is wholly within the hands of the board of the Ports of Auckland. I've contributed to 2 new ports board directors in the last month, and I expect both of them to have an impact in terms of how the port is operating. Well, leadership comes from the top, as you know. So, again, do you have confidence in Tony Gibson specifically?
I think I've given you the answer to that question.
Mr Mayor, you can't express confidence in the CEO either, not just the leadership, but specifically him. No, you can't say either way whether you've got confidence in him.
I've said that I'll be in a better position to express confidence or otherwise in him when I see what the automation process delivers.
And that was Auckland Mayor Phil Goff speaking there.